welcome to the Solve Network. My name is Shane Borza, and I'll be your host. Along with my co-founder, Benjamin Goss, we'd like to welcome you. Our mission is to provide solutions and create a network of experts for you to learn from. Now, this show is a little different than most podcasts, as it is actually a live call held twice a month. If you can, please join us on the first and third Thursday of each month so you can get your questions answered live and direct from the experts themselves. If you're an expert, please contact me at shaneborza.com so you can be a part of the network. And now, here's our show. Hi, I'm Shane Borza, a climber, creator, and coach, and I want you to build the skill of health and fitness. My new course is a priceless gift to you, and it's available exclusively on ponoquest.com. That's P-O-N-O Quest.com. Build the Skill is a minimalistic, functional, real-world fitness program which can help you to move better and get stronger faster. I can't wait for you to check it out, and when you do, please let me know how it helps you. That's Build the Skill at ponoquest.com. Anyone else have anything? James, I think you were going to jump in again earlier.
Yeah, I'd love to hear you elaborate a little bit more on that Carey quote, where there was a guy that you were referring to who said he thinks that the carry is the most important move versus squats.
Yeah, so thanks for reading it back. So I'm actually, I think I have, I'm just looking for the list. I don't have it on my phone. So so Dan John, which he has a podcast. I think it's just the Dan John podcast. And I think his website is now danjohnuniversity.com. So he and Pavel Tatsulin founded Strong First, but he and Pavel used to work at the RKC, which is the Russian Kettlebell Challenge, before Strong First was Strong First. So they worked together to create all of the foundations of what became Strong First. So like he's the co-founding godfather of Strong First, basically. But he was saying that of the 6 basic human movements, carries are his number one because, well, A, they're so easy. You basically pick up any kind of weight in one or both hands and just walk around with it. And it's super applicable to all sports, but also like pretty much everything you're going to do in life. And, I used to have a ranch, and so filling up a wheelbarrow and carrying it around, like my core would be fried. Like I would get out of bed some days and be like, I can barely move. What happened? Like, oh, I moved dirt all day in the, wheelbarrow yesterday. Why? Oh, because I'm learning how to use my body to pick up weight and move it and not like lose my balance and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of that structure comes from weighted carries. And James and I train together, so he'll know, but a farmer's walk or a farmer's carry is literally just putting some weights in your hands and walking around. And it could be light weights. Again, you could put a 2 or a 5-pound dumbbell in each hand and go for a 20-minute walk. And my goodness, that's going to really make everything so much more difficult, even though it's not a lot of weight. Or you can pick up 100 pounds in each hand and just walk across the room and do a couple of laps. Or you can pick them up and put the weights up here, which is what they call a rack carry. Or you can even put them overhead and do an overhead carry, which is going to be very difficult. But that really causes your shoulders to learn how to hold weight, and then your whole body to learn how to move with weight, as well as learning how to have your core lock in so you can protect your back. And the more you can do that, the easier you'll find the next time someone asks, hey, can you help me move all my furniture into my new apartment? It's 2 flights up. You'll learn how to take what you learned from the carries and apply it to like picking up the couch or whatever it might be. But as well as with sports, but especially for outdoor people, if you're going to put a backpack on and go for a hike, especially if it's like a long hike and you're going to be out for a couple of days, learning how to carry weight all day is not only going to get you super fit, super fast, you'll be amazed, but it'll also make all of those sports applications much easier, because pretty much everything we do, and again, some aspects of the population more so than others, but like if you're police, fire, rescue, or even a football player, you're putting a lot of equipment on and then basically carrying around all day. Like some cops, they have their bulletproof vest, they have their gun belt, they have, radios, and they have all this stuff. Like it's 20, 30, 40 pounds, and they're carrying it around for 12 hours a day. So that's a lot of work. And if you learn how to do that properly to protect your posture and protect your back, you're not going to have issues later on in life. But if you don't, you're just going to slowly accrue some of these overuse injuries. And then at some point you're going to run into the problem where it's like, oh, I have a bad back now because I didn't know how to move properly.
Cool. Thank you.
So I saw that Ben had asked about Game Changers. I don't know if anyone has seen that. So that is a feature-length documentary that I can't think of his name. The James Cameron, who did the Avatar movie and Titanic, and I can't think of his name. Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and also the martial arts guy from Hong Kong. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of people who are, A-listers in Hollywood produced this film, and it's about how the vegan diet helped a bunch of athletes. And I don't really want to weigh in on the politics of that because it has been widely debunked, but quite often those types of things are very polarizing, and it doesn't matter how good it's very well done as far as like a film that's produced well, like a Hollywood movie. It's shot well and it looks great, and there's tons of good information in it. But I found that talking about things like diet is kind of like talking about politics. Like, it can be very polarizing. So I would encourage people to watch it regardless of whether you believe in the vegan kind of lifestyle or nutrition plan or not, because just like watching something about a carnivore diet, for instance, pairing that with watching Game Changers about a vegan diet will probably benefit you more than just watching one or the other. And you'll probably get some good information from both, but also you will then be more informed to make your own choice and say, do I want to trend more towards this way or more towards that way? So I do think it's interesting. I do think it was very well done. I have watched, like I said, a bunch of the debunking videos. So there has been a lot of scientists and researchers who have said, like, certain parts of it aren't correct or what have you. So I would recommend seeing it. I am not a fan of any super restricted diet, although I say that having just come out of an experiment for like 5 months with a carnivore-ish diet. I wasn't just eating animal products, but I was kind of like eating some rice here and there and like having coffee and chocolate and stuff like that, but I wasn't eating any fruit or vegetables. And that was an excellent experiment for me to figure out that I don't want to eat like that for the rest of my life. But I do think there's periods of our lives where, I have been vegan for a month or two before. I was vegetarian in college for a year or two. So I think it's more important, again, just like fitness, to say, well, when I was in college, I was running marathons, so I was very fit. And now I don't run at all and haven't in years, so I'm not fit. Or I say, I'm differently fit. So just like diet, you may want to experiment and go through different diets over your life and kind of see, how you feel. And then over time, you may kind of assemble almost your own diet and say, I've eaten 10 different ways, and over the course of 20 years, and I figured out that this combination, a little bit from each one, optimizes me. Because again, for me, it's about having the best performance, not a certain title. So I would much rather say, with everything, the only binary thing I like to go into is, does this make me feel better or worse? And if it feels better, then I'm going to do it. And if it makes me feel worse, then I'm not going to do it. And that's pretty much the only thing I pay attention to. Any other thoughts on anything I talked about, or if anyone wants to bring anything? I think Game Changers was a great thing to bring up, and thank you.
One thing, yes, there I have heard, Dave Greenfield, I think it's his name. He talks about some Tabata or something like that exercise that is like very slow, and very like a very short period of time. What do you think about that?
So thanks for bringing it up. They talk about that. Oh, hey, Craig.
Hey.
So we, I don't know if you know, we started at 5:30 Pacific. So you're here in the Q&A part, but I can send you the audio after.
No problem.
So I was doing a presentation on my Total Mountain Fitness. So we've been basically talking about fitness and kind of nutrition and things like that. So you're welcome to jump in at any time. But Alexandra was just asking about Tabata, and I had mentioned earlier I was doing the Quicken the Dead, which is a kind of power program from Strong First. And for them, it's about doing reps with speed. So you're only doing a few exercises, but you're doing each rep like as fast as you can. And then you're doing these long recovery periods. The original Tabata method had kind of long recovery periods in it. So you had a lot of recovery, and then you had high quality for each rep or each cycle. And through CrossFit and various other kind of platforms, they've kind of turned it into these things where it's like 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off, or 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And unfortunately, the Strong First view is that if you look at people's performance, and so if you have sprinters, for instance, and they're doing 10 by 10s, so you're doing 10-second sprints 10 times, every 30 seconds or something, their time and their recovery plummets over the course of those 10 sprints because they're not recovering enough in between. If you look at like the University of Oregon or some of the other kind of top 10 schools when it comes to like track and field, they are kind of doing what Strong First is doing, which is like really long rest periods. So you might have someone sprint like all out for 30 seconds, and they're going to rest for like 5 or 10 minutes, like completely recover. And then they can sprint for all out again because they're building their endurance and they're building their ability to maintain, over the course of a series of 10 sprints with long rest periods, they're only dropping 5 or 10% in their output as opposed to like 50% in their output. So again, it's not that either one of those is right or wrong. It kind of depends what the application is for you. So if you are going to CrossFit or something like that, you're doing a boot camp training in the park, they're probably going to be having you do stuff like do 10 reps, stand up, do 10 reps, stand up, and your recovery is going to be really short. So getting fitter in that application might mean adjusting to those really short rest periods. But if you're on the track team, for instance, and your goal is to be able to run, 2 miles on the track, then your goal might be completely opposite, where you really want to maintain the highest level of performance over many laps. And so you might want to have your training look completely different. Does that answer your question? I know that was more of like a comparison of different programs, but was that helpful at all?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
So Craig, I know you just jumped in, but did you have any, I know it's kind of cold, but thanks for joining us at the end anyway. Do you have any thoughts or questions on any fitness things? Or we talked a little bit about nutrition. Ben brought up the Game Changers movie, which is about the vegan lifestyle, which is on Netflix right now. Anything come to mind? We talked about recovery. We talked about sleep. Anything on your mind with anything like that?
It reminds me of when I used to give such talks, and I did see the Game Changers documentary, which is pretty insightful. Also recently released, I think, I'm forgetting the author, but the carnivore diet. So there is somewhat of a contradiction to that I'm exploring as well. But if I were to be concise on this call, my question here would be, where do you, as the presenter, lean on? Is it on a more plant-based diet, or is it on a more carnivore-based diet? And my opinion generally is that it depends on the individual. But I mean, what has been your opinion, or what is your opinion generally?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. I was just talking a little bit when Ben had brought that up, that I was just kind of finishing a carnivore-ish experiment. So I was predominantly eating meat, but also a lot of organ meats and things that I've never had before. I was still eating rice and some things like I like dark chocolate, and I was still having coffee. I have a friend who has been on this call before. He did a 90-day like strict carnivore. So like he did 30 days of beef, salt, and water. And he's a keto expert. So he came out of a keto diet into carnivore diet. So for him, it was just a little more elimination than normal, but it was an easy transition. I came out of the bulletproof diet, which is either, bulletproof coffee in the morning or, and then like meat and vegetables for lunch. And then if you're going to have carbs, to only have them at dinner. So again, it was kind of a simple way for me to segue. I just kind of took the vegetables at lunch out. So I did that for several months, and it was just more of an experiment, not so much of a kind of philosophy. And now I've gone back into the bulletproof diet, and I found that so I ate beets the last couple of days, and I realized like my body was really thirsting for them. Like I felt it was like a sponge soaking up water. So me being a mountain athlete, quite often traveling and being outside for a week at a time or what have you, I have to really be able to kind of eat any and everything, because sometimes you're in small towns and you only have available what's available. That being said, I do have a food allergy, so I do have to be careful what I eat, but I really like being able to eat whatever I can. And again, I was talking earlier about right now, my system is pretty binary. It's just, when I eat stuff, I'll try it for a week or two and see, does this consistently make me feel great, or does it make me feel blah? If it's not great, I'm not going to eat it anymore. I forget who it is. One of Tim Ferriss's friends, his philosophy is it's either hell yes or no. And he's like, there's no, it's okay, so I'll do it. It's either like, fuck yes, or no. And so that's kind of how I feel about food right now is if it doesn't make me feel amazing, if it's just okay, or if it's no, or if it's bad, then that's off the menu. So I would encourage people to experiment, but I'm curious to know for you, do you have like one leaning as opposed to the other? Like where are you on the scale?
I mean, I was about to say that, the opinions are interesting, but for me, I haven't tried them all. I was curious to ask you how well is the bulletproof diet working? But seeing David Asprey's books and how popular they are, my best feeling would be an absolute plus. It works for his audience. In terms of me, my leaning, I've watched a lot of the documentaries, Game Changers. I actually have a few to watch right now that I haven't had the time to look at. But for me, what resonates strongest with me is plant-based nutrition. Coincidentally, I don't know if you guys could see this, how good this is, but this is an actual supplement. Nature Doctors, it's on Amazon. And, I use it. My point is, for me, I'm more plant-based, so which is why the carnivore position is interesting. And most people eat meat, so it would resonate strongest with others. But for me, based on what I've seen, the research looks compelling, right? In terms of the animals, how they're grown. I know we have grass-fed beef, and you could really, it's not that meat is bad, it's really how it's raised and how it's killed as well. So, so it's not that meat is like terrible and it's the worst thing you can consume. But for me, I'm leaning more to answer your question on the plant-based side, because the interesting thing is that some of the strongest people don't eat meat. And I'm like, there are many things to argue against. And that one, based on, you watch the Game Changers documentary and all the people, it's compelling. So, I'm interested, like you said, but it's not even really about my opinion. What I've realized is that different things work for different people. For example, the carnivore diet, it works for certain people. I might not agree with it. We might not fully agree with it. I don't know, but it works for certain people. And like you said, to wind down my point, it's about experimentation. That's what really my opinion is.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing I talked about earlier was, kind of defining fitness, and how quite often people, in kind of just popular culture will think that fitness is a certain thing. And really, I think it's a flexible thing that's really individual. So diet is very much the same. And I would really encourage everyone with either their diet or their fitness is to, like Craig just said, like really experiment. And if you haven't ever done lots of running or bike riding or, yoga or Pilates or strength and conditioning, weightlifting, CrossFit, something like that, you may find that the thing that you didn't think you were going to like, you might surprise yourself and love it, or be really good at it. But it also might make you feel really good. And so trying to kind of release yourself of some of the beliefs, or, maybe you tried something once when you were a kid and you had a bad experience. It doesn't mean that that isn't something you can't try again, because the second or the third time you try it, it might be you find a great community of people, or it might be a really fun thing, or maybe it's a fun skill. So again, I'm going to circus now because, I'm taking flexibility classes to help me with my handstands, because I can't quite touch my palms flat to the floor with locked knees. And my instructor's like, the faster you can get so you can do that, the easier it will be for you to kick up into a handstand. So again, I wasn't going to circus so I could get more flexible, but I'm now taking flexibility classes so that my flexibility and range of motion enables me to fulfill my goal of doing a handstand. And so that was an accidental benefit, because I feel better now that I'm taking flexibility classes. So it was an accidental benefit of me pursuing one particular goal. And so now it's helping me not only in the way I'm moving and feeling in my day-to-day, but it's also helping that goal. But that wasn't something that I'm like, this year I want to get more flexible. So again, being open, allowing yourself to try and experiment, you may just find that you have a lot of benefit. And I do want to get to, I know Ben has been muted because he's kind of sick this call, but he did want to ask any commentary on Biggest Loser competitions. They seem to be heavy on multi-diet, keto, on keto type diets and high intensity training. So yes. Oh, go ahead.
Go on. I was about to comment on that specifically. Well, as for the diet, I haven't looked deeply into it, but for the few rounds of the Biggest Loser that I've watched, I'm not a fan of the format. I mean, I understand it's TV, there's an audience, there's a financial incentive behind it as a competition. But the reason I'm not a fan is that selling to people that you could lose a ton of weight quickly without the necessary dietary and hormonal adjustments is temporary at best. Even if they do lose the weight, I'm not saying they won't succeed. They losing the weight is not even the point. A lot of them, they typically revert right back, and then it defeats the purpose. And as you know, as a coach yourself, the more times you try to lose weight, the harder it becomes mentally. In that, it's like climbing a mountain twice. It was so hard the first time. To do it again, it's like impossible. So really, that's my opinion on it, because the motive is okay. I mean, there are people who struggle to lose weight, and in the form of a competition, that'll be a greater incentive for them. However, for those who don't, let's say to lose. By the way, I used to be a physical education teacher, so I'm very pro sports. So forgive me if I seem to overspeak there. Now I do a lot of coaching, but 1 pound a week is not a bad weight, not a bad rate of losing weight, for example. And in that competition, they lose a lot more, and that's fine. But typically, the average person should not aim to lose weight that fast. That's my opinion. And on the diet, on the ketogenic diet, if that is what works for them, they being in ketosis, that'll be fine. But more broadly, can they make the habitual adjustment in terms of their palate? That's what my opinion would be on it.
Yeah, and
one thing that I would love to hear is you've talked about your philosophy of training, but what I'd love to hear is how you help people, what you do for folks related to training. So for people who might want to work with you.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that. Well, just to respond to Craig, I agree. I think that it's like running a marathon. If you've never run before, doing something like a couch to 5K is going to set you up for success a lot better. It's going to be this slow, gradual increase, as opposed to deciding to run a marathon, you just kill yourself to complete the marathon, and then it may be days or weeks of recovery because you overdid it. So going on a crash diet or, losing tons of weight really fast in the context of a competition might be great TV. It might enable you to win the prize and change your life in that respect. But again, my kind of view is more on longevity and quality of life. So I agree with Craig. And actually my godfather was really heavy and he worked with a nutritionist, and that was their plan as well. And that was 30 years ago, which was 1 pound a week. So, it might be 50 something pounds a year, and he wants to lose 150 pounds, but it's much more sustainable and much healthier for him to make lifestyle changes that enables him to slowly lose weight and then keep it off forever than you lost 50 pounds in a month and then you gain 20 pounds and then, it's this roller coaster. So, I think Craig's spot on with that, or at least I would agree with him. And then as far as James said, so I'm a specialist in kettlebell and bodyweight programs. So I do work with people online. So like I alluded to earlier, I work with James. James is in Alaska, so we do all of our coaching online with Zoom video calls, and I write programs up for him. And I'm actually going to be launching a new website, and on that, I'm going to be putting a programming tab. I actually have right here one of my certifications. Whoops, my background is blocking this. So this is called Plan Strong. That's one of my Strong First certifications, and it's in programming. So I write programs up to 3 months at a time for people. And those are just strength programs. So they don't have conditioning components or anything else. And they're based on 20 plus years of research. So it was basically 2 days sitting at a desk learning really complicated math. But it takes all the planning and headache and worry and wonder out of it. You basically just get a program and you walk in every day and you go, oh, I'm doing this today. And I know how much weight to use. I know how many reps to use. I know what exercises I'm going to do. And you just do what the program tells you. And so I've had some clients that have had a lot of success with that. Again, it's just strictly a strength-based program. It doesn't have anything to do with flexibility or anything else. But so I'm going to have that up as an offer. But I would say generally my books and philosophy are about exercise minimalism so that you can get the most out of the least, and with the eye of kind of life and biohacking. So how can we pull in recovery, sleep, nutrition, supplementation, all those, you have 23 hours a day that you're not training, and all of those will have a huge impact on your fitness, probably more so than the 1 hour that you're spending, working out in the gym or what have you. So I would rather have people change their lifestyle and get really fit in their life. And then if they want to pursue running for an hour, doing yoga for an hour, lifting weights for an hour, they're going to get a really big benefit from that, as opposed to how can I get super strong and I don't want to make any lifestyle choices at all. And I just realized I was kind of lost in answering some of those questions. And Craig, I'm not sure if you knew this, but apologies if you didn't. So we're 5:30 to 7 Pacific time, and it's almost 7. So I'm just doing a quick wrap up. And Ben, you're not feeling well, but if you have anything to say, you can either chat it to me or just unmute yourself. So again, we do these calls on the first and third Thursday of every month. And if you know anyone that would like to come on as a guest speaker or just come on to participate and listen, we'd love to match people with guest experts they wouldn't normally have met or people they wouldn't normally get a chance to talk to. So the next call will be the third week of March. And I am starting to fill people up. So I think we have one more slot available, but otherwise March, April, and May are going to be full. So we're starting to book people for the summer. But anyone that's interested can just go to solidnetwork.com. And if anyone's interested in talking to me more about anything that I talked about, you can contact me. My email is shaneborza@gmail.com. And my current website is getequalized.com. I'm going to be changing that shortly, but I don't have it done yet, so I'll just leave it at that. So does anyone have any final thoughts or questions before we close the call tonight?
It won't be final for me, but it is final for everybody. from what I'm hearing or from what I heard from the short time I came in, it was a very good topic. I wasn't on the call, so I kind of had a conflict of schedule here, but it's always good to speak about health because it's something that's ubiquitous, important for all of us, and I'm glad that we had such a topic, and I look forward to meeting everybody here whom I don't know. I realize a few new faces, so I look forward to meeting you guys, and good talk. So that's my bit.
Thanks, Craig. I'm glad you could jump on. So,
ooh, hang on. So, thank you so much for all of that information. I am myself a healthy habits and online fitness coach. So I relate to, I think about everything you said. Just a quick opinion of mine on I've never seen the Biggest Loser competition, but I know what it's about. And my coaching is all based on healthy habits. And with healthy habits, you get the most amazing results, and you're on a journey that you love, and you're not doing something that you hate to get a result that you think you will love. So, that's my opinion on it. I'm not for those kind of competitions. Let's say it like that. So. And I'm curious about the handstands. It's something it's on my, last year I put some effort in it, but same here, YouTube. So probably not the smartest move. So.
Well, we're just getting to know each other, but you can look through my feed on Instagram and see my journey. And then I'm happy to connect with you afterwards. And I'm excited you're going to be on as one of our guest experts in the future.
Right. Yes. I'm excited as well. Thank you.
Scene one, Apple, take one.
Hi, I'm Shane Borza, your content creator coach. I have 2 books on filmmaking, Film Notes, where you learn to write, direct, and produce, and the Film Notes Workbook, where you can learn checklists and paperwork to streamline creating your content. Available at shaneborza.com. I also have filmmaker resources like the Paperwork Bundle with over 300 documents, the Sound Effects Bundle with almost 3,000 files, and the Music Bundle featuring 900 tracks of all genres. Want to build your professional credits? Become an associate producer and get listed on IMDb. Let me help you get your art out into the world.
Scene one, Apple, take one.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Solve Network. As a reminder, these calls are held live on the first and third Thursday of each month. If you'd like to join us as either a listener or guest expert, please contact me at shaneborza.com. On behalf of my co-founder, Benjamin Goss, we're glad you are a part of the network and hope you are finding solutions. If you need solutions, please reach out.